Welcome to BabyCentric Concepts. We're here today talking about breasts and nipple sizes.
And we thought maybe a really PG-13 way to do that would be to have some fruit handy so we can get into shapes, sizes. Differences in nipples can be a cause for concern for some moms, so we really want to help you plan ahead before you have your baby, know what your nipple shape and size means and how that's going to affect the baby.
And unless you have jobs like Chris and I, you probably have not seen lots of other breasts and nipples before. So we want to show you that yours, you might think are different, but there are a lot of different shapes and sizes out there, and they're normal.
So we have, a typical apple, really, they're the same, but not really. And I want every mom to know it doesn't matter if your breast is larger or it's smaller, it's still gonna make enough milk for your baby. Things that we think are problems, let's just get them right off the bat. Some moms have really hypoplastic breasts that are very elongated and they might not make enough milk for a baby. So if you have wide space breasts and they're very, what they call tubular, you might want to see your doctor before you give birth. Lactation consultants know that tubular breasts are a cause for concern. So we know to watch for that. Another issue that you may not be aware of and that you can really plan ahead for in nipple size is really an inverted nipple. So we know that when your nipples don't pop out, they're very flat, and they don't pop out, they really go inside. There are things that you can do to try and make them pop out, and there's also things like nipple shields that are going to help you in the delivery room. If you can't get your nipple to pop out, you've got something for your baby to latch onto. That being said, we know that some moms really can get the nipple to pop out. Jen?
Yeah, and the thing is, you really don't need a nipple to breastfeed. Breastfeeding is breastfeeding. So even if you have flat nipples, it doesn't mean that eventually you can't breastfeed. Just know that this is what you should expect, that there might be some challenges, and that's why you consult a lactation consultant so you can work through them. So you can have your nipples with, they can protrude a little bit, or they can be tiny little nipples that
So I would say there's one size.
and then here's the other.
Ooh.
Yeah, see the difference? And so sometimes babies' mouths are not that big, and you might need to pump for a while if your nipple's that big, and that's why you would talk to somebody and see what you could do. Nipples could be all different shapes and sizes.
So we know sometimes when you have larger breasts, we know, we're getting to the
Larger breasts. The spaghetti squash size.
We know that you can have breasts really large.
Sometimes you have honeydew-sized breasts.
And sometimes you really
can hold that one.
have a watermelon-sized breast.
And you know what? Sometimes there's things you can do to help with that. You can take I'm gonna put this big heavy thing down for a second. You can take a towel roll, just take a regular washcloth or a towel, take it up, roll it up, and where's your big watermelon breast there, my darling?
Yes.
So you can take your breast and kind of lift it up and put this underneath it to kind of help it. As your breasts fill up, they get filled with milk, so they're heavy. So they're heavy for you and they're heavy for the baby. So you want to do your best to give it the extra support that you're going to need.
So we also have some other fruit handy.
Oh wait, if you see a breast that looks like this, call your doctor. This is not a breast shape or size that is normally ever seen. I have not seen it in 15 years.
Dragon fruit is pretty tasty though.
Pretty.
So we have some other sizes, a mango. Some women do have what we call, they really don't have a darkened areola. It just looks a little formed, but a lot of times when you squeeze it, it does protrude a little bit more, and it's totally latchable for a baby.
Grapefruit. So sometimes, your breast might look with a nice big nipple before you have the baby, but then all of a sudden you go through hours of labor, you get lots of IV fluids, and your breast, you wake up and you try to feed the baby and your breast nipples look like this. Well, sometimes your nipple is just hiding behind edema. So there's ways that you can push around and compress the tissue around, and your nipple could pop right back out again. So there's lots of different things that you could do.
I'm glad you mentioned edema, because we do know that starting on the 3rd day or the 4th day, usually by the 5th day, you're pretty swollen, and sometimes it can look tight and shiny, and that's engorgement. So we know engorgement can be physiologically telling your body that milk is coming in, As a consultant, I worry sometimes. That means maybe milk's staying in the breast and not getting out to the baby. So if you're having difficulty and your engorgement is getting worse and not going away and it's getting really tight and shiny, we want you to know that you might need to see a lactation consultant because the baby might not be getting milk.
Another thing that we talked to, ooh, I see something in here. Look, this is a nice inverted nipple. Sometimes when we talked about inverted nipples, sometimes as the baby nurses, they start to pop out, and you might have things that are called adhesions, and your nipple might start bleeding as the baby learns to pull that nipple out. That's not abnormal. You know, it can be uncomfortable and painful at times, but there's things that we could do to help with that discomfort and deal with those
I would
bumps.
say a lot of moms that I know of, when the inverted nipple comes out, they're in the most pain. So you want to take care of your nipples, and if you need to put something on, like a lanolin cream, using some gel pads, naturally speaking, you can use your colostrum to put it on the nipple. Studies have shown that there's not real significant difference between any of those varieties. Gel pads, nipple shields, using lanolin, using your own relief. Pain is different for everybody, and it doesn't increase or speed up the healing process. So fixing the latch is number one. Number one, fix the latch and it'll get better.
And just, you know, when we talk about latch and pain, isn't it abnormal to have toe curling pain for the first minute? Sometimes it does hurt, and that's your nipple learning to stretch out. But that shouldn't last, and you shouldn't feel biting or pain the whole time that your baby's nursing. But Chris, I want to know, cauliflower. Why do we have cauliflower? What was that for?
So sometimes cauliflower, I know, like the cauliflower itself has this really rough, bumpy appearance. Sometimes after a baby nurses, your nipple can come out looking more misshapen than it did before. It can come out looking with a cauliflower appearance. There are other times later on when it could be totally abnormal, when your tissue or your nipple itself is inflamed and red and has a cauliflower appearance. That's another time you need to go see a specialist.
Yeah, so you see all those nice little grooves. So speaking of nipples, we had a lot of different nipple sizes here, but my favorite thing is not using fruit, but using coins. And you could tell the different shapes. You know, somebody's nipples might be more of a dime-sized nipple. You might have somebody that's got a nickel-sized nipple or a quarter-sized nipple, and that they're all normal. They're all normal, and they can all feed a baby. The problem is you need to, recognize that they could cause some problems, and that's when you would call some lactation support, and you can do that before you deliver the baby. It doesn't mean that you can't breastfeed. That's the key. That's what we want to tell you. There's all different shapes and sizes of breasts. There's all different shapes and sizes of nipples. They're all challenges, and they're all fixable.
So really, most moms, on average, when they've studied it, have anywhere from 4 to 20 outlets for milk. It's not a single hole for milk coming out. So a lot of times if you have more holes, maybe your milk comes out faster on one side and the other side doesn't flow as fast. And everybody's concerned that the baby prefers one side over another. I can tell you they will get used to either side either way. So stick with it. Do one breast, one feeding, one breast the next feeding. Let the baby learn that milk comes out at different flow rates. So they will learn to latch on two totally different nipples separately, and they will get used to it. It's not a big deal.
Nope. Everything is doable. That's the key for today.
All right. So
any
what
other
are we doing?
breast shapes and sizes we have in there?
What are we making tonight for dinner?
Fruit salad. My kids have been bugging me all week for this fruit. Every day, Mom, when are we going to be able to eat the cantaloupe? When are we going to be able to eat the not the dragon fruit. I don't really know how we're going to be cutting this. But so we're having fruit salad for dinner tonight.
All right. Well, next time, think of any questions, email us, text us, DM us. We're here.
Share away. Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.